Hello everyone. Myself Dr. Malti Shinde, Assistant Professor of Organon of Medicine at Anantrao Kanse Homeopathic Medical College, Arepada. Today we are going to discuss one of the topic from the Organon, that is logic. Logic, it is not concerned only with a homeopathy, but it is a broad branch which covers all the branches. In this, logic means it is a sensible reason or a way of thinking. We may also call it as the study of correct reasoning, especially regarding making inferences. Logic began as a philosophical term and is now used in many branches. Logic, while the definition sounds simple enough, but the understanding of logic is little more complex. But logic is an important subject because it teaches us the relation and the correct reasoning power. Now, first we'll see what is logic. In this, logic meaning. The word logic is derived from the Greek adjective that is logiki, corresponding the Greek word logos, which means thought or word, idea, or we may also call it as an argument or a principle as the expression of thought. The use of the same word logos to denote both thought and word to emphasize the close relation between thought and its expression in language. Hence, logic is the science of thought as expressed in language. This is the main definition of logic as the science of thought as expressed in the language. In this, we also called logic as the science of inference, science of reasoning, and the science of thoughts. Then, the two pioneers used the logic or discovered the logic. In this first one is Aristotle. So, the first sustained work on the subject of logic which has survived was that of Aristotle. Aristotle can be called as the father of logic. The father of logic is Aristotle. According to Aristotle, logic is the important instrument for acquisition of genuine work. Aristotle discovered both, that is deductive logic and the inductive logic. Then logic is called as the science of sciences as it is totally a scientific term, that is logic. He was the founder of both, that is of deductive and inductive logic. Logic is concerned with thought forms and thinking process to achieve truth. His method of logic has been explained in his book, that is Prior Analyticus. The book written by Aristotle is Prior Analyticus, and this method of logic that is expressed in this book, that is Prior Analyticus. This is the father of logic, that is Aristotle. Then second one, that is Lord Francis Bacon, which done a lot of work in the field of logic. In this, Lord Francis Bacon formulated the new system of logic in his book, that is Novum Organum, to highlight the importance of the inductive logic. Lord Francis Bacon's time, logic was principally as an instrument for argument and disputations. Little or no attention were given to facts. He demolished innumerable false systems and restored logic to its true place as the guide to the truth. He was the person who put forth the exact meaning of the logic, as before his time the logic is used as an instrument of only arguments, but from his dedications or from his work, logic is used as the instrument of thought, and logic to its a true place as the guide to the truth. Then we take some information about Lord Francis Bacon, as he was associated with the royal family of England. He left the Cambridge school by saying that these studies are useless. He was studying at the Cambridge school, but he leaves that school by saying that the studies are useless. He is considered as founder of modern inductive logic and said it is the only method of scientific discovery. As he was the founder member of inductive logic, we studied Aristotle discovered both, that is inductive and the deductive logic, but Lord Francis Bacon more considerably founder member of a inductive logic, and it is said only method of scientific discovery. He also introduced logical systemization of scientific procedures. Then Bacon divided knowledge into three parts according to function of human understanding. He divided knowledge into three parts. In this first one is history, second poesy, and third one, that is philosophy. In this history, that corresponds to the memory part. Then poesy, that is related to the imaginations, and philosophy, that corresponds to reasoning. So these are the knowledge divided into three parts. It may be history, that is related to memory, it may be poesy, that may related to the imagination, and it may be philosophy, that may related to the reasoning. Then the logic is divided into mainly two types, that is first one inductive logic and second deductive logic. In this we consider deductive logic as it is from general to particular, and inductive logic means that is from general to particular. In this we consider deductive logic as it is a pure or a formal logic and reasoning from the general to the particular. And second one, that is inductive logic, that is logic of reality, or it is a logic of truth, that is reasoning from detailed facts to the general principles. In this we go from particular part to the general part, that is inductive logic. These are the two main types of logic, first deductive logic and second inductive logic. Then some other types of logic also are there. In this we see three types, that is informal logic, symbolic logic, and mathematical logic. Then we will see what is informal logic, symbolic logic, and mathematical logic. In this first one, informal logic is the study of natural language arguments. The study of fallacies is an especially important branch of informal logic. The dialogues of Plato are a major example of informal logic, as these are the informal. There is no any formal logic present in this. We called deductive logic as a formal logic, but it is an informal logic. In this, it is a study of natural languages of arguments, only natural language of arguments, that is informal logic. And the dialogues of Plato are major example of informal logic. Then second one, that is symbolic logic. Symbolic logic is the study of symbolic abstractions that capture the formal feature of logical inference. Symbolic logic is often divided into two branches, that is positional logic and predicate logic. Symbolic, it is related to the some symbols, or that is symbolic abstractions that capture the formal features of logical inferences, and it may be of propositional logic or predicate logic. Then the third type, that is mathematical logic. So what is mathematical logic? Is an extension of symbolic logic into other areas, in particular to the study of model theory, proof theory, set theory, and recursion theory. This is the symbolic logic into other areas, or it is an extension of symbolic logic in different areas. It may be related to model theory, it may be related to proof theory, it may be related to set theory, or it may be related to recursion theory. Now, the main important type, that is deductive logic. In this, reasoning from the general to the particular, means we go from cause to effect. Deductive means we know the cause, and from cause we go towards the effect. A deduction is an argument in which the conclusion follows necessarily from premises. That is, Aristotle's deductive method is otherwise called as syllogism, which means computation. Every syllogism consists of three parts, that is, premises, major premises, minor premises, and conclusion. Before that, we must understand what is deductive logic. Deductive logic means we go from general to particular, and in this we know, that is cause, and from cause we goes to the effect, that is from cause to effect, that is deductive logic. In this, dr Aristotle explained about deductive method of logic in the form of syllogisms, and syllogisms are of three types, or the three parts, that is major premises, minor premises, and conclusion. Now, what is major premises, minor premises, and conclusion? Here we having one example, that is all men are mortal. That is, we make a major premise, all men are mortal. In this, John is a man, that is minor premise. John is a man, this is minor premise, and we goes toward the conclusion as all men are mortal. John is a man, so John is a mortal, that is conclusion. Conclusion is based on major premise and minor premise. So in this, syllogism can be continued. The conclusion of syllogism can be used as the premise for other syllogism. In this, the basic principles never require premises. So this is the example of deductive logic, that is, with the help of major premises, minor premises, we go towards the conclusions. That is, from the cause we go towards the effect. Now, the some examples of deductive logic, as all doctors are wise, that is general premise or the major premises. Then Kent is a doctor, that is minor premise, or we may take it as a particular. Therefore, Kent is also wise, that is the conclusion. Or we go from general to particular, that is all doctors are wise. Kent is a doctor, therefore Kent is also a wise, that is the conclusion, that is made with the help of major premises and minor premises. In this case, we go from general to particular, and that is deductive logic. Now, the second one, that is inductive logic. So, what is inductive logic? In this, reasoning from detailed facts to general principles, means from particular term we go toward the general principles. In this, inductive logic is the logic of Bacon, Mill, and Hahnemann. These three scientists use the inductive logic more conformably. In this, he has a higher function than the logic of Aristotle, which and is used largely for the purpose of mere argumentation. In this, inductive logic is the logic of Bacon, Mill, and Dr. Hahnemann, and is used wisely as compared to Dr. Aristotle's deductive logic as or the inductive logic that is invented by Aristotle, which is mainly used for the purpose of argumentation. So, inductive logic does concern itself with facts, with reality. Its primary purpose is the discovery and use of truth. The primary purpose of inductive logic that is discovered by Lord Francis Bacon, Mill, and Hahnemann is the discovery and the use of truth. In this, we take example as coat, shirts, trousers. All these are clothes. That is, from particular we goes towards the general principle. That is, coat is a particular, shirt is a particular, trouser is a particular, but all these three are clothes. That is general principles. So in this case we go from particular to the general principle, that is inductive logic. Then there are some requirement of inductive logic. In this first one, inductive logic having soundness, it having consistency, it having completeness, and it having adequate knowledge. So what is soundness? The premises must be true. So what is the requirement of inductive logic? That is first soundness. Soundness means the premises must be true. They should be valid observations of facts upon pure experimentation. That is, these are the valid observations and these are depends upon the pure experimentation. Then the consistency, which means that none of the theorems of the system contradict to one another, means it having a consistency that may not contradict to one another. Then it having a completeness, the induction must be complete without a break from premises to conclusion. That is, what is premises we consider from that to the conclusion, that having the completeness and it should not be in an incomplete form. And the last, that is adequate knowledge. The premises which we consider that having adequate knowledge about that subject or about that premises, then we goes toward the conclusion. So these are the requirement of inductive logic, that is soundness, consistency, completeness, and adequate knowledge. Then one example is described with the help of which we know the steps of inductive logic. In this, we take examples of a homeopathy. In this, consider Hahnemann's exact observation of frequent failures to help sick patients by his method of treatment when being an allopath resulted a honest disappointment and made him quit his practice of medicine and translating Coulin's Materia Medica, the exact observation of the truth that the ability of cinchona bark to cure malaria was not the astringent property of it made him to experiment on himself. In this, we are going to discuss the steps of inductive logic, and for that we take example of how the discovery of homeopathy occurs on the basis of inductive logic. In this, first one is exact observation, second one that is correct interpretation. So first, exact observation in the form of, that is the disqualified treatment or the failure of the modern treatment to treat the patient permanently, and the second exact observation of, that is the ability of cinchona bark to cure the malaria. These are to the exact observation done by Dr. Hahnemann for the discovery of homeopathy. Then, what is his correct interpretation? The correct interpretation of the fact from the Cinchona experiment that the diseases are cured by the properties of drugs which are capable of producing the similar disease in healthy persons. This is his correct interpretation, that the medicine having or the plant having producing the diseases, that same having the power to cure that disease condition. This is the exact interpretation made by Dr. Hahnemann, or the medicinal plant having producing the similar disease in the healthy person. Then the third step of inductive logic is rational explanation. In this, he explained about a phenomenon of similia similibus curanter, which was hinted at the time of ancient Hindu and by Hippocrates and Paracelsus. That is his rational explanation about the similia similibus curanter, that is the law of homeopathy on which homeopathy is based, in which, that is, similia similibus curanter means like cure like. That is his rational explanation of his correct interpretation. And last one, the scientific construction of the principles involved from his inductive reasoning. That is the construction of the different art of healing, that is the homeopathy. This is his scientific constructions, that is invention of the new pathy, that is homeopathy, that is based on the law of similars, that is similia similibus curanter. So these are the four stages on which the homeopathy is based, or we take example of homeopathy to explain about the inductive logic. These are the four steps of inductive logic. First one, that is exact observation. Second, correct interpretation. Third one, rational explanation. And fourth one, scientific construction. Now, after this, there are methods for search of cause. So, there are different methods for the search of cause. In this, the method of agreement, method of different, method of concomitant variation, method of residue or of residual variations. So, these are the different methods for the search of cause. In this, four methods of induction in search for the cause. First one, method of agreement, in which a condition uniformly present is assumed to be probably a cause. It considered as a cause. Then second one, method of difference, in which the happening of the event when a condition is present and its failure when a condition is absent lead to the assumptions of that condition as a cause. In this first method of agreement, we probably consider one cause. Second, method of difference, in which it may be present or it may be absent of cause, or it lead to the assumptions that the condition as a cause. It may be failure or it may be success. That is method of difference. It may be positive or it may be negative. Then the third one, method of concomitant variation. So what is concomitant variation? In which the simultaneous variation in similar the degree of condition and event establishes a causal relation. The method of residues. The third one, that is method of concomitant variation, and fourth one, method of residues or the residual variations, where after subtracting from a phenomenon that part due to causes already established, the remainder is held to be due to some other unascertained cause or to the known remaining causes. So these are the methods. Now the next part, that is important part related to logic, that is what is relation between logic and homeopathy. Up till now we say that homeopathy is totally a logical process or totally a scientific method of treating the patient, but actual what is relation between logic and homeopathy? In this analysis of organon of medicine as well as the history of emergency of homeopathy shows clearly that homeopathy is a product of inductive logic applied to the subject of medicine. That is, it is purely a method which is depend upon the inductive logic, but in some conditions the deductive logic is also used in the field of homeopathy. But homeopathy is a product of inductive logic, and we studied it with the example of homeopathy in the inductive logic. In this, it is in the fact, it is one of the most and first brilliant example of the application of inductive method to the solution of one greatest problem of humanity, namely treatment and cure of disease. This is the chief contribution to the science by Dr. Hahnemann. That is, it is the most important invention of Dr. Hahnemann, as we call Dr. Hahnemann as the father of homeopathy. And the homeopathy is depend upon the method or the application of inductive logic. That is, it is one of the most important and the first brilliant example of application of inductive method of the science is the homeopathy. In this we consider different principles of homeopathy, that is, which depends upon which logic. In this, similia similibus curanter is the product of true logic, and logic originally deductive but confirmed and verified by inductive method of reasoning. That is similia similibus curanter. It is invented by Dr. Samuel Hahnemann during the experiment of cinchona bark, and it is originally the deductive logic, but it is confirmed and verified by the inductive logic of reasoning. So it is a fully scientific in nature. That is similia similibus curanter. Now the next important part of homeopathy is drug proving. As drug proving means it is a method of investigation of pathogenetic power of a medicine on a healthy human being of both sexes, different ages and various constitutions. And in this we see the effect of a particular medicine on healthy human beings. In this, homeopathy is the only branch of science in which the drugs are proved on healthy human beings. And in this, the doctrine of drug proving, it is one of the principle of homeopathy and is the first doctrine born in the great intellect of Hahnemann, and is a byproduct of both, that is deductive and inductive logic. And in the process of drug proving we used both, that is inductive logic and deductive logic. That is the principle of homeopathy drug proving. Then next principle is, that is law of simplex. In this, a single simple medicine is used at a time. In homeopathy we give only one medicine at a time, or in the simple form we cannot give the combinations or a number of medicine at one time to the patient, as we consider human being as a whole, and for that whole body we require only one medicine. And this principle of homeopathy, that is law of simplex, it is an inductive method of reasoning. That is, single simple medicine is used in this law in the homeopathy, and it is purely a inductive method of reasoning. Then next principle, that is theory of miasm or the law of causations. That is after the discovery of homeopathy, Dr. Hahnemann experienced that the acute diseases are very well cured by the homeopathy, but the chronic diseases are not cured. They are reappeared again and again, and for this reason he invented the theory of miasms. That is, there is some obstacles in the cure of chronic diseases, and these obstacles he named as the miasms. So he invented the three types of basic miasms or the fundamental miasms, that is sora, psychosis, and syphilis. The real cause is the whole of the, and we have no right to give the name of the cause one of the exclusively of others. The most common and the most pernicious medical error is to assume that a disease had a single cause and to direct all efforts and agencies against that, and the theory of miasm is depend on the inductive method of logic. Then Hahnemann's discovery of miasm was entirely based on true induction and generalization. That is, it is totally depend upon the inductive logic, that is from particular to general. But later in history of homeopathy, this particular doctrine suffered a lot of deduction by dogmatic followers of Hahnemann and rendered a lot more confusions about miasms and complicated the scientificity of homeopathy. But it is the most important invention of Dr. Hahnemann, that is the theory of chronic diseases or the theory of miasms, and on which, on the basis of these miasms, we can provide a anti-miasmatic treatment to the patient, and hence the chronic diseases are cured permanently, and it is totally a inductive method of reasoning. Then the next principle is the law of minimum. In homeopathy, we give the medicine in the minimum doses. That is, we cannot give the medicine in large doses. We give the medicine in a minimum doses, as we consider that to stimulate the dynamic vital force, there is need of minimum dose. In this, the medicines are prepared by the process of potentizations by the method of triturations and succussions, and in these cases we reduce the quantity of medicine and we increase the quality of that particular medicine. So it's the principle formulated from the experience by Hahnemann. Probably the concept of minimum dose came up when he was trying a case of colicodynia in 1799. That is 4 grain doses of Veratrem album twice daily for 2 days were given, and the patient has life threatening aggravations, and to avoid that aggravation he used the minimum doses. That is, next event, that is in 1800, he advised, that is 1 is to 1 lakh of 1 drop of belladonna mother tincture as a dose for cure and prevention of scarlet fever, that is used as an epidemic or the genus epidemicus in that scarlet fever. Then the next principle, that is theory of vital force. In this, vital force is the dynamic disease producing power, and in the 6th edition of Organon it is transformed as a vital principle. Its discovery is possibly an attempt of Hahnemann to give a reasonable explanation to the unknown phenomena. It seemed to be a dogmatic theory rather than by product of logical science. The consequences of his theory of vital force had a far reaching and most damaging impact on homeopathy and obstructed further investigation of the drug action in homeopathy. This is the most important invention of homeopathy, that is theory of vital force. Then theory of drug dynamization. In theory of drug dynamization means, that is the process of formation of drug, that is to cure the vital force, that is in the dynamic form, the medicine also must be present in a dynamic form. And for this reason, he used the theory of dynamization, in which the medicines are prepared by the process of potentization. The discovery of dynamization is very important not only for the medical field but also in the physical science. That is, dynamization changed the total outlook of homeopathy, as it is completely changed from a material science to a dynamic science. And in this, the potentization done by the two methods, that is succussion and triturations, and in this the quantity of the medicine is reduced and the quality of medicine is increased, that is the power of the medicine is increased. Then the next is the case taking and examination of the patient. In this, it is explained from the aphorisms, that is aphorism number 83 to 104 in the Organon of Medicine, and it deals with the demands of the homeopathic physician, that explained the aphorism number 83, that is, he is free from prejudice, he having a sound senses, he having attention and fidelity in tracing the picture of the disease are nothing but the initial requisite of the inductive methods. That is, case taking is depend upon the inductive method of reasoning, means inductive logic. Then the diagnosis, the method of disease diagnosis and the patient diagnosis or the individualization is an inductive reasoning, as the process of correct interpretation on the base of the true facts exactly observed. In this, during the case taking, we make the diagnosis of the disease, and second one, we make the diagnosis of the patient as a individualization. We consider individualization as important in homeopathy, as we think every human being is different from other. No two human beings are similar, and this process of individualization is depend upon the inductive method of reasoning, that is having correct interpretation on the base of true facts exactly observed, and it is a process of generalization from the facts obtained during the case taking. So during the case taking we use the inductive method of reasoning, that is case taking depends upon or formed upon the inductive method of reasoning. Then totality of symptoms, that is individualization and prescription. By the definition, the totality of symptoms means all the symptoms of the case which are capable of being logically combined into a harmonious and consistent whole having form, coherency and individuality. And on the basis of totality of symptoms, that is collection of symptoms or the general formation of portrait of a patient, and for the formation of portrait of the patient we need the totality of symptoms, and after formation of a portrait of a patient we can match this portrait of patient with the medicinal portrait of the medicine, and accordingly we choose the similar medicine for the patient, that is totality of symptoms. Now the law of cure, it is based on exact observations and verifications through number of cases from the experience of Hahnemann and other pioneers including Hering. That is law of cure, that is Hering's law of cure, that is from above downward, from above downward, from more important organ to less important organ, from center to periphery. So this is the law of cure, and it is totally a logical, means it is totally depend upon the inductive method of logic. Then the repertory, the works on repertories are the greatest master of piece of analysis, comparisons and generalization in our literature. That is, it is the most important inventions by the pioneers of homeopathy, that is repertory. In this, Bonning-Hussein's repertory is the outcome of true inductive reasoning, and Kant's repertory is mainly a deductive methodology inferred after an inductive work on facts. That is, Bonning-Hussein's repertory depend upon the inductive reasoning, and Dr. Kant's repertory mainly a deductive methodology. The prescriptions will be obviously scientific and more reasonable if they are based on an authentic repertorial references. So in the use of repertory, or for in the repertory, we also used the logic, that is inductive logic and deductive logic both. So this is all about logic, that is the sensible reason or way of thinking, or we may also call it as the study of correct reasoning, especially regarding making the inferences. And the purpose of logic is to enable either valid deductions or cognate inferences from the premises. That is two important logic: deductive logic and inductive logic. Mainly deductive from general to particular, and inductive means that is from particular to general. And for this we take references of The Genius of Homeopathy by Dr. Stuart Close, and The Principles and Art of Cure by Dr. H. Robert, and along with this the 6th edition of Organon of Medicine. So thank you friends.